the idea, man.
Thank you for coming. Can I call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Roll call, we're just -1 now. Gotta get any additions or deletions on the agenda?
I don't have any additions, but just a reminder, we're having some trouble, with the audio being picked up for the meetings that has been coming across, so, I'm just as guilty of it as anybody, but we need to be sure we're kind of speaking forward into the mics as if we're speaking into the audience. The way we're set up, we tend to, look and talk to each other.
I don't think is on, John.
Go figure.
Go.
Just that we're speaking forward into our mics and doing our best that the audio picks us up. That's all I have, and I did send out a little video that Brad provided to give an overview of the good mic procedures for getting audio from the meetings, but I think just a little reminder to us is good.
Okay. I got a motion to approve the agenda.
So move. I'll second it.
Got a motion, a second, to approve the agenda. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same side. Approved with everybody present. Notice of public hearing. The Way Park Planning Commissioner will hold a public hearing at City Hall, 19 13th Avenue North at 6:30 p.m. or soon thereafter, Tuesday, February 12th, 2019, to hear the following request. The request of Globe Enterprises, Inc., Jim Raksinski, for the review of the primary and final plat of Crossroads Lofts and Shops. The property is legally described as 38A W 132.25 feet of eastern, 297.5 feet of north, 134 foot of south, 167 of southeast, 4 southwest, 4 less partial 15, Stearns County Highway right-of-way, plat 17, City of Way Park, Stearns County, Minnesota. The property is addressed as 205 3rd Street Northeast. Public hearing opened at 6:33.
Chair Jansky, Planning Commission members, those in the audience or watching at home now, at the moment or perhaps later. This request is a follow-up to the planned unit development that was proposed for this property. The property was being utilized as a single-family home, which has since been purchased and taken down by the applicant in anticipation of a redevelopment. The planned unit development for the two-story small mixed-use building was reviewed previously by the Planning Commission in December and January, and it did go to the City Council last night and was approved by the City Council. What you're seeing here is pretty much the last component of that, which is the actual platting of the property, which is really more of a formality. The reason for the platting is that under our ordinance, we have to plat property before we can construct anything new or additional on it. The home that was there was a pre-existing use and there's no need to plat it for anything, but when that's taken down and something new is put in its place, that does trigger the need for platting of the property. So what it's doing is assigning the subdivision title to that property as Crossroads Lofts and Shops, and then keeping it as a simple single lot, single block subdivision. Really no need for anything further than that in this case. We did provide the plat for review to Stearns County Highway Department as a standard fare. Even though they've already had input on the project from our previous contact, but it is, again, just a procedural matter. They haven't responded yet specifically to this request, but I anticipate that they'll have the same comments that they did for the plan unit development in that they're not likely to allow any access in the way of a new curb cut off of Third Street, and that anything that impacts the right-of-way would be at the applicant's expense to move or relocate, but that's no surprise there. We do require a payment in lieu of parkland dedication for new plats as well. That has to be reviewed separately by the park board. I've not yet calculated that, but that's a purview of the park board, and then that amount is then provided to the city council as part of their final review and decision with that. I don't really have any issues with the plat. Again, it's really pretty straightforward. The bulk of the property is, the bulk of the project has already been reviewed and approved by the city council. We do have a public request, or a public hearing, excuse me. But with a plat, there's really no reason or procedurally any option to deny it if it meets requirements, which this does. We did hear comments on the plan unit development from the previous hearings. If anyone's here tonight to ask questions of that, I can address those the best I can, but that component's already been approved by the city council. With that, I will open it back to the planning commission for questions or comments, or if you want to open it up to the public, that's fine too.
Do you have any questions before we open up public input?
I don't have it.
It is a public meeting. Public's got a comment for or against. If you could step up to the podium, please. Give your name and address.
Name is Don Blonigan, 346 Second Avenue Northeast. I guess I don't have a problem with what they want to put in there. My concern is that that building looks a lot bigger than they're going to have parking for. I think they're starving themselves for parking. There's nothing there that says how many parking spots they're going to have. I'm in a situation like that in St. Cloud right now where I've got a property only 2 doors down from me that's constantly infringing on our parking because they lied to the city when they got that building. They said, oh, we don't need any parking. But they're constantly in our spots, and we're constantly having to threaten them. And I don't want to see that same thing happen here. It looks like they're starving for parking.
Just to respond to that, Mr. Blonigan, we did discuss the parking at length during the planning commission meeting and even at the previous planning commission meetings. It is 3 stalls short of requirement by parking, but because of the overlap of the residential component and the commercial retail on the bottom, the city council is comfortable with moving forward with that.
How many spots do they actually have?
They have 25 stalls available.
And how many apartments are they going to have total?
8 apartments, single bedroom apartments.
So you're going to chew up half of your parking just with that alone. You can figure if there's a bed that there's 2 people in it and there's 2 cars per apartment, average.
And we can go around and around on that, but I'd like to reiterate that we've already approved the plan unit development component. We're not here to address parking at this point. That opportunity was at the previous public hearings that were held, and that component's already been approved by the city council. I recognize your concerns and your thoughts, but this is for the platting and not the project in its totality.
All right, well, if I see a lot of cars sitting on the streets, I'm going to be filing complaints.
Anybody else have any comments for or against? And like John alluded, it's for the platting of the property right now for tonight.
I move we close the public hearing.
We got a motion to close public hearing. Do I have a second?
I'd second it.
Got a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same size. Public hearing closed at 6:40. Commissioners? I mean, it's for the plating of the property, not for building designs or anything like that, so it's just for the plat. Anybody have a motion?
I will move that we recommend approval of the plat.
I'll second that.
We got a motion and a second to approve the plat. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The plat passed with all present.
Preliminary and final. Zoomed.
I'm sorry,
Preliminary
Bob?
and final.
Preliminary and final.
Yep, preliminary and
We-
final
We
at
have
the
to
same
make
time.
any notation of that we're approving both? Or,
I don't think you need to make a specific motion, just the resolution that's ultimately presented to the council will notate that.
But we do want to make sure the motion includes the staff recommendations that you've noted, that the motion is approved, passed with
Yes,
those.
that would be, that would be good.
All right.
Or is anything else is done through the other process?
Yes, that's correct. Most of the more extensive conditions of approval are included through the planning and development, and that has a dozen or so different conditions of approval there, including some aspects to help address the parking if it does become an issue. But those have already been adopted by the council.
Okay. Number 5, other business, is there any?
I don't have any further business for this evening. We are, it does sound like we are likely to have a meeting next month. We have 1 or 2 items that we're expecting to come in the next few weeks, so keep an eye out for that. But it does sound like we'll have a March meeting.
Mr. Chair, I just respectfully would mention, a month from today, I will not be able to attend that meeting, so I will be absent. I apologize for that, but I'm not going to be here.
You have a good reason.
Did you bring a note?
I'll think one up.
Hopefully you're doing something fun. So.
Actually, I'm going to be out of state.
No, that's fine. I appreciate the heads up.
If we don't have a replacement, are we gonna be able to have a meeting? If we don't,
As long as we're able to confirm the remainder 3 of you would be able to attend, we could go forward, but it would have to be a unanimous decision then. Oh, no, excuse me, it would be, yeah, we would be able to go with 3. That's okay.
So I have a majority.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I got my numbers crossed up.
Is there another person being appointed to the commission?
We're accepting applications through Friday, and from what I'm aware, we have 1 application at the moment.
Okay.
But yeah, we're likely to have someone in place by the next meeting.
All right.
So.
I get a motion?
Can I ask, or would it be more appropriate after the meeting, where the solar and wind energy thing went? I understand there was a hiccup at the council and
We can discuss that after the closure of the
After,
meeting, since
okay.
it's not really pertinent to the planning commission now, but I'm happy to update you afterwards.
I'd move for adjournment.
I'll second that.
We got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Being adjourned at 6:44.